Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check the link to my Patreon page in the corner up there. I'm back with round 3 of a Modern Friendly League. Let's go ahead and take a look at the opening hand. I won the die roll. Unfortunately, have to mulligan this. But this is a really beautiful keep. Mono blue does mulligan pretty well. Opponent mulliganed as well. And Master of Waves is going straight to the top. I love that guy. And let's see what the opponent did with his mulligan. He went to the bottom, so he or she. Being on the play, we're going to run out Island and AEther Vial. Let's see what the opponent's on. So, untapped Blood Crypt with no Thoughtseize or anything. Potentially representing something like Lightning Bolt. Potentially also just trying to get their life total down if they're running Death Shadow. So, with AEther Vial out, it's a very easy choice to play a turn 2 Spreading Seas on this Blood Crypt. But especially since it's untapped, it just makes sense to not run the Silvergill out quite yet. Alright, floating red and cycling Desert Ceridon? How do we say that? Ceridon. Desert Ceridon. I'm going to draw a card, and we know that we're playing against the old style of Living End. Alright, Mutavault, third land, not terrible. Going to help us get to Master of Waves. Bloodstained Mire and a pass. AEther Vial is going to get ticked up to 2. So, I'd love to see an extra card this turn, so I'm going to start by putting a Silvergill onto the battlefield. Another island, not great, but at least we get to draw through it with Silvergill Adept. Easy choice to play out a Mutavault here. And then no other creatures because Harbinger has value potentially bouncing their guys. And with these couple of Mutavaults, we're going to be able to just sort of chip at the opponent's life total with the Silvergill and potentially Mutavault. We can just leave AEther Vial up and try to respond to any Living End that they might cast. We're going to really sort of cross our fingers and hope to hit like a Spell Pierce. There's another Desert Ceridon. We can see that keeping them off of extra mana is making it harder for them to cycle creatures quickly. Okay, they do have a Blooming Marsh, which means that they can play any of their Cascade spells now. Leave that AEther Vial on 2 for the time being. Another island, not amazing. I think I'm just going to get in with Silvergill. Now, Living End will typically look to cast their Cascade spells like during attacks so that they prevent any damage. But if they only have one Cascade spell and a bunch of cycling creatures, they can be a little bit greedy and only take like the 2 points from Silvergill. They think it's not very much damage. And then cycle more creatures and try to get a huge board state when they do cast that one Cascade spell that they have. However, my plan is to continue to chip in as long as I can. We've got plenty of Island Walk Lords in the deck, and we already have a Spreading Seas established. So if we can get the opponent's life total down, even if they wipe our board, we're going to be able to come back like an end step Island Walk Lord, activate 2 Mutavaults, and get in for 6. So if we can get the opponent's life total in that range, we've also got a Harbinger that can gain us some time, bouncing one of their creatures. I expect to see more cyclers at the end step, but we didn't see any. Maybe the opponent forgot? Well, they play another land. I'm not going to bring in my Harbinger. I've only got 2 more creatures in hand, and I really don't want to overextend into one of their board wipes. Of course, another thing I have going is, on top of the Island Walk potential, is to just flash in something like a Harbinger and then cast Master of Waves, quickly establishing a board again, especially with Devotion from Spreading Seas. So there is one of our Island Walk Lords. We're just going to go with the same strategy. We're just going to get in with Silvergill Adept. No Mutavaults because I really don't want any of them to get swept up in a board wipe. Alright, so play one of our islands and pass the turn. What are we going to see here? So cracking the Bloodstained Mire, they're already down to 12. Get a Swamp. Okay, cycling Horror of the Broken Lands. Cycling Street Wraith. It's possible that they're drawing all of these cyclers off of all of the other cyclers, but remember that they didn't do any cycling at the end of last turn, and now all of a sudden they're cycling 3 creatures, so... Well, there's a 4th creature, a 5th creature. Now, these Street Wraiths are doing a great job hitting the opponent's life total. As I mentioned, the Mutavaults themselves can get in for 6. Alright, so this is very interesting. Simian Spirit Guide. So how do we respond to that? You know, we've got the rebuild option of Harbinger plus into Master of Waves for these 2 creatures, 2 Mutavaults, and 4 Elementals, which seems solid. I think we might be able to afford to run out of Lord of Atlantis. I'm not really sure why the opponent is going to hardcast this Simian Spirit Guide. Their mana here is low enough that they can't cast Violent Outburst, their Cascade spell, instant speed Cascade spell, without another Simian Spirit Guide. But why play out the first Spirit Guide if you're just going to wipe my board? I don't know, mind games. But I'm going to try to get this Island Walk going here. And another Island Walk Lord is pretty much the best thing I could have drawn there. Even if this guy does get wiped away, I'm going to be able to follow up with another one. So play that last island. Do our best here. Try to chip in with 3 with the Silvergill. Opponent looks like he's going to take it. And I think I've done something now like 9 damage or something with the Silvergill Adept. Okay, cycling Architects of Will. Looks like they're getting ready for a big living end. Going down to 4, Bloodstained Mire. And yeah, they're going to get in with the Simian Spirit Guide. I don't even care. Going to take it. I feel like they're trying to get me to activate a Mutavault or something like that, or maybe bring in another creature to bounce it or block it, but... Alright, Demonic Dread. That's the sorcery speed Cascade spell. They get to go get Living End, and it's really not a problem. We've got Mutavaults, we've got Spreading Seas, we've got Island Walk, and we've got Master of Waves, Harbinger, just a lot of stuff going for us. So they've got triggers from Architects of Will. They're going to rearrange their top decks and my top decks. They've got 5 cards in hand. Play another land. And... yeah, I'm going to start by bringing in a Harbinger. And leave AEther Vial on 2. Island doesn't even matter. I'm going to bring in Master of the Pearl Trident. Cast Master of Waves. I'm going to get a ton of tokens. And yeah, even if they have a Bolt, which I'm pretty sure Living End doesn't play. I think for their removal, they play Beast Within, which can hit Master of Waves. But now there's... the threat of Island Walk that they also have to deal with. So at this point, with 2 Lords on the table, Mutavault is going to be a 4/4, which is enough with Island Walk on his own. So if the opponent has no kind of removal, then this is just lethal here. And if they do have some kind of removal, hopefully it's not red removal, and we can just do a good job of closing the game out with Elementals. But the opponent didn't have it. We were very, very patient. We did a ton of damage with the Silvergill Adept, not overcommitting to the board at all. And these 2 Mutavaults, just really excellent insurance policy, making great use of Spreading Seas, letting us just walk past all of their gigantic creatures. So solid game 1 against Living End. Look away for a second if you don't want to see the match result. All right, I am back with game 2. Opponent's going to be on the play. This is a good Merfolk opening hand. Cursecatcher pushes back their Cascade spells. And Relic is beautiful. So I'm going to play Cursecatcher first. Establish a little bit of a clock. And next turn, I'm going to play Relic with mana up to crack it in case they have like an Ingot Chewer to try to destroy the Relic. We'll at least be able to cycle it. Opponent does some cycling of their own with another Desert Ceridon. passing the turn. The Silvergill is an attractive option, but it's best to play the Relic first. All right, so the opponent already hit their own life total for 3. We hit it for 1. They're down to 16. And yeah, we've got to sort of tread the line between offense and defense. Relic is an amazingly strong card against Living End. They sort of have to deal with it before they can go off. But for now, it looks like all they can do is cycle more creatures into the graveyard. All right, Bloodstained Mire, cracking it. Already down to 15, down to 13. And they pass the turn. So I'm going to start my turn by activating Relic. They get rid of their Bloodstained Mire. And I have a choice here of playing out a creature and leaving up mana, or playing out Aether Vial and leaving up mana. Now, since this deck is looking to wipe my board pretty quickly, I feel like playing out a creature at this point is a little bit unnecessary, potentially wasteful, whereas Aether Vial, on the other hand, sort of ramps our mana and improves our tempo for the rest of the game. So I'm going to swing with Cursecatcher again. The opponent's already going to be down to 12. Play an island and just get the Aether Vial on the board. So opponent's doing something during my end step. Now this would have been smart to do during combat, so he didn't have to take another point of damage from Cursecatcher, but instead he waited to my end step. And of course I'm just going to sacrifice Cursecatcher to counter this Beast Within, keeping my Relic on the table. Just really effectively dealing with one of the opponent's potential answers to Relic. Blackcleave Cliffs means that even if they waited till this turn to cast Beast Within, they still would have been able to counter it with Cursecatcher. Okay, tapping and then untapping. Okay, so we're going to see Violent Outburst here. And of course, I'm going to cycle my Relic in response as soon as they put the Living End on the stack. And I drew another Island Walk Lord off of the Relic. In response to that, the opponent is going to cycle Street Wraith, cycle another Street Wraith, going down to 8. And then as the Living End resolves, those Street Wraiths will come into play. Now, since I cracked my Relic, of course, my Cursecatcher doesn't come into play. So, Violent Outburst will resolve. They'll get +1/+0. Okay, so still not feeling too bad. It was definitely correct to play the Aether Vial last turn. We're going to start taking that up. And, well, a land is really solid. We can start to establish some devotion and eventually follow up with Master of Waves. I thought for a little while about whether I wanted to run out 2 lords, and the following turn I can bring out the next lord. But again, we want to tread that line between offense and defense, and playing Silvergill Adept out first, I'm pretty sure is correct. Even if we play out 2 lords, we're not blocking next turn. Silvergill could draw us into another Relic, which we would certainly play this turn if we drew it. All right, so we'll reveal one of the Island Walk Lords, and what do we draw? Another land. So at this point, we just run out another Island Walk Lord, got some nice devotion on the table, and the opponent's going straight to combat. We've got all of our life total, so really not threatening. Oh, this this is terrible. The opponent just played an untapped Watergrave. It's terrible for many reasons. They hit their own life total even further. And they gave us access to Island Walk. So what are they going to do with that mana? Okay, they cast another Street Wraith. Definitely not worth giving me Island Walk. So you guys can see he's dead on board. Okay, I mean, not dead on board. He's dead given what I've got in my hand. The opponent was a little bit bummed, and I drew a Relic. Wow. The opponent was a little bit bummed. I'm gonna actually just cast one of my Island Walk Lords because the game is over. as I was saying, the opponent was a little bit bummed when I went to combat and they saw that they couldn't block. I reminded him of the Watery Grave, and then, he thought that he had punted. But between this Master of Waves, the extra Island Walk Lord, and the Relic, especially the Relic in my hand, there's really no way that the opponent is coming back here. I was going to play the Relic out. If they attack with the Street Wraith, I could bring in, or the Street Wraiths, I could bring in another Lord and eat 2 of them. Even if I take 9, it's not the end of the world. I'd still have 5 points of life left and be able to just crack back in a big way. If they tried to establish any kind of graveyard after they wiped their board from the Street Wraiths, I, of course, could just cycle the Relic of Progenitus, follow up with Master of Waves. The opponent's life total is super low anyway. So we've got this thing totally wrapped up, even if they didn't play the Watery Grave, but the opponent's mistake just helping us get there. Okay, so haven't dropped a game yet in this friendly league. We beat Grixis Control and then Dredge, and now Living End, 2-0 each time. Let me know your thoughts on the match. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Please check out the link to my Patreon page. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next video where I will be replaying round 4 of a Modern Friendly League. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you there. Bye.